The data model is basically you take that customer journey and you've got to get all the different volume metrics in place. And so you'd back up to like when you figure out how many net new accounts you need to acquire for the year to reach your goals, then you're like, okay, so what is it going to take to acquire that many net new accounts? Well, what I need to do is get these many opportunities, like these many ups, these many pitches, that sort of thing, right? And then, well, how much, what do I need to do to get to that point where I'm talking to a dealer or talking to a customer? Well, I need to actually create awareness and get a lead. Okay, so how many leads does it take to get to the meetings? Okay, then how much actually impressions or how much awareness in the marketplace do I have to do to get to that many leads? And that's these volume metrics that you can make a formula of, right? And so you do all that kind of stuff. You also, to get better understanding of your revenue model and how things are working, you want to know like deal velocity, you want to know customer lifetime value, that sort of stuff. And then where you really get a lot of insights is once you get this stuff in place, you can start to combine metrics and you can start to like compare, right? You can compare to, leads coming in from one channel, what their close rate is, what your, referrals, maybe you want to those ones close at 85%. So you want to optimize how many referrals you get. You can obviously compare reps, you can compare territories, you can compare a whole bunch of stuff, but you've got to get that baseline stuff in place for acquisition and that you can actually see this stuff and see it with clarity. And what I always like to do is when you start to do this with teams, you put in weekly scorecards. So everybody's on the same page. Everybody's seeing the same playbook and it's all objective. And then what happens when you have that in place, it's really easy for those of you that are starting to embrace EOS. You'll learn soon that if it's red, it's an issue, and you solve for it together as a team. But if you look at it weekly, you have this in place. And EOS, setting up these kind of systems, it takes time. This is a journey that's often like it's 12 to 18 months to get to that kind of spot. But that's how it goes. You have to keep beating that drum. So again, the mathematical model, you create this universal language around acquisition and retention. Now I'm gonna get out of this screen here, and I'm gonna pop this open here. Can you guys see this? I'll make it bigger. Okay. So these are numbers over the last 3 years from my agency, and this is my top accounts. And so what I have is I've got my customer value. And so then I've got my lifetime value, which is just 3 years of data, which is fine. And your customer lifetime value is an average of what your customer accounts are. And you can see things are up and down. And when I validate this and go through it, it's pretty accurate. And then I've got my churn rate, right? And it's been going down over the last few years. And that's how many top accounts stay in the top accounts bracket. Okay. So when you do this kind of stuff, you can actually figure out your prediction here, which is essentially what I've done is I've taken this number here, I've timed it by my churn rate, and I've timed it by my expansion rate. And this is pretty darn accurate. That's going to be my expected reoccurring revenue. And that creates a really big base for you. And so then, well, where do I want to go on top of that? Well, I've got what I always get from my house accounts and a few other things, right? And then it's like, I know exactly how many accounts I have to acquire to hit my goals in 2025. And that's the kind of thinking as a CEO you need to get your sales team to do. They need to know that exact number, right? So if they know that the number is, well, geez, we got to bring on two new accounts per month, what do you have to do to get those 2 new accounts? So I knew for 2024 that if I did 15 net new discovery meetings per month, I would hit my revenue goals, which then means I would hit my my profit goals, all that stuff, right? So you have these critical numbers, but we did the math and we figured it all out. And we work with teams all the time. I've had teams that was a critical number was 4. They had a sales team of 3, and the critical number was 4 because we determined that for them to hit their numbers, they had to do 4 outbound calls to a qualified account per day. So they needed to make 1 phone call a day per person kind of thing, right? And I'm like, have you been doing that? They're like, no, we haven't. Sometimes you get busy and, a week goes by and we haven't done 1 outbound motion. Gosh, now they knew that critical number. they absolutely did that every single day.